Hi friends, today we're going to look at carpal tunnel syndrome. Sometimes I'll go into a market and I'll see people with these braces on at the checkout line for carpal tunnel, and it often makes my heart sink. I always want to help them. So today we're going to help you with carpal tunnel. Let's take a look at what we need to do to alleviate carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is take a nice comfortable seat. You can sit cross-legged, you can sit in a chair, just a nice comfortable seat will do, okay? Then what I'm going to have you do is take your hand up. Let's make it your right hand. So we're going to take your right hand up and the palm will face you. You're going to go through each finger slowly, and you're just going to take the finger back, each finger one at a time, nice and slowly. You don't have to move through this fast. Give the body time to respond, and that's why we do this more slowly. So the body really does have time to respond. Each finger has time to respond. We'll go through each finger on each hand. And for our purposes, I'm going to keep us moving in this video, but you can pause the video and do the other hand now. Once you get done with the fingers on each hand, then you're going to take your hand and draw your fingers down toward the wrist. Okay, so they're going to come down toward the wrist. You can do that again on each side. And a nice gauge of time, if you don't want to be looking at the clock, and who really does when we do poses like this, when we do yoga like this, breathe 5 to 7 breaths on each side. And now you're going to come onto your hands and knees. We're going to go on to all fours on the hands and knees. Here we go. So while we're on all fours, we're going to open the fingers wide. So the fingers are spaced evenly and the fingers are open wide. Then from your hands and knees, soften between the shoulder blades. So your heart will actually move toward the floor. But then you're going to press evenly through all 10 fingers. You're going to press your fingertips down so much that you can even see a little bit of whites on your fingers. You're also going to press your knuckles down so the knuckles don't rise. And this is muscle energy for the fingers and the lower arm. From there, you're going to walk the hands back, behind. So maybe your fingers face your knees or thereabouts. Don't worry if they come to the side a little bit, that's just fine. But if your fingers can face your knees, great. If not, great. From here, you're going to press all 10 fingers into the mat, just as you did earlier. And then, this doesn't seem like a lot, but when you press all 10 fingers into the mat, you're going to sit back a little bit on your haunches. You're going to sit back. And this is actually a pretty big experience for the arms. You're releasing a lot of tension on the underside of the arm and the wrist. And again, you don't have to sit back very far. From there, you're going to come forward. You're going to walk the hands back. I'm a big fan of keeping the hands open. Then you can take the hands the other way. So they're turning in. Press all 10 fingers into the mat. Press your knuckles into the mat. Wow. And you can stay here for 5 to 7 breaths. Then we'll come back through center again and do it another time. Take your hands back. Walk your hands all the way forward and do this again. One thing I want to mention about carpal tunnel is that we need to make these muscles on the underside of the arm super strong on each side. What happens when we get carpal tunnel, these muscles are weak and it starts to ache after repetitive motion in computer or checkout lines or registers. These muscles combined, they're getting weak, overuse, not a good combination. So we're trying to get these muscles on the underside of the arm super strong. Let's look at how to do that. Okay, so we're back to the position with the fingers open. The fingers are spaced evenly. Now for a moment, let your hands get light. Let your fingers get light like this. And when you get your fingers get light, take your opposite hand underneath, feel these muscles in the underside of the arm, and notice how they're weak. They're not working. Oh, think about weight bearing. You'd do a downward facing dog or you do a plank pose. That would be a lot of weight and that would jam your wrist. Let's look at it with muscle energy more active. Come back. Press all 10 fingers into the mat evenly. Press your knuckles down. Press your finger pads down. Now take your opposite hand to the underside of the arm and feel that muscle. It's nice and strong. These are the muscles that we want to get nice and strong, working in conjunction with your hand to help support the wrist, to help support the arm, and indeed to help support the shoulder in general. It actually goes all the way up to the shoulders. Okay, so now that we know how to activate muscle energy on the underside of the arm, I'm going to give you a few poses that are really going to help strengthen the underside of the arms. Let's get started on those right away. Here we go. So now you bring your hands in front again. My back toes are tucked under. Press all 10 fingers into the mat again. Press your knuckles into the mat again, and then draw your arms back toward the back of the mat, almost like you're clawing yourself forward. And this action is a lot of muscle energy for the arm. It doesn't look that challenging, but believe me, once you start doing this pose, it's a very active pose. The head of the arm bones draw back. It's almost like you're clawing yourself forward on the mat. The underside of my arm is active. My fingers are active. Muscle energy up the entire side of the arm. Into the shoulder girdle is also active. This is a good strength builder for your arms. Okay, so now the key is to take that awareness into all your poses, whether you're on all fours, whether you're in a downward facing dog, whether you're in a half plank or a full plank or a handstand. Lots of muscle strength in the arms. So we start to fire up these muscles and then bear more weight. The next pose you could move to after the pose we just did would be a half plank, for instance, with the knees back on the floor with your arms forward. That would be a nice half plank. You can do it on all fours. You can do it in a full plank. You can do it in a downward facing dog. So basically you learn your alignment, you learn how to fire muscle energy, and then you start to bear more weight. The key is to practice. So we don't want to do this. If you have carpal tunnel syndrome, don't do it once a week. Try to do these exercises 2, 3, 4 times a week, even daily. And repeat them. It's okay to repeat them, right? Repetition is going to grow those muscles we need to be nice and strong so we alleviate carpal tunnel syndrome. I hope that's super helpful. Subscribe here, subscribe here, subscribe here, and we'll see you soon. Bye.